Act 18. The beautiful women of the Grand View Garden form a poetry society. Time: the 13th autumn of the Red Chamber. Location: the Grand View Garden, Ihong Courtyard, and the Pleasant Autumn Studio. Character: Grandmother Jia, Jia Baoyu, Jia Tanchun, Lin Daiyu, Jia Yingchun, Shui Baochai Li Wan, and several others. Character profile card. The only person from Ningwa Mansion in Four Springs. Name: Jie Chai Kun. Gender: female. Alias: for sisters. For girls: Oxia, Miss O. Identity: daughter of Jia Jing, sister of Jia Zhen. Personality: aloof, cold, silent, and reserved. Grandfather: Jia Daihua. Parents: Father Jia Jing was addicted to alchemy and died of poisoning. Mother died shortly after her birth. Brother: Jia Zhen. Sister-in-law: Mrs. Yu. Grandmother Jia has always favored Baoyu, and since the last time he was beaten by Father Jia, she has become even more protective. She directly ordered the people around Baoyu. If the master calls Baoyu to attend to guests again, there is no need to come up and pass on the message. Just tell him it was me who said, on the one hand, he was beaten severely and needs to rest for some time before he can walk again. On the other hand, his horoscope is not favorable, and he has already made offerings to the stars, so it is not convenient for him to see outsiders. He can only go out through the back door after August. What Baoyu hated the most was dealing with those scholars and the formalities of etiquette. Now that his grandmother had spoken, he was naturally very happy, so he spent all day joking and playing with the maidservants, not doing any real work. On this day, Baochai came to advise him, but Baoyu not only did not listen, but also became angry, mocking Baochai for chasing fame and reputation. In the Grand View Garden, only Daiyu had never advised him to pursue fame and wealth, so he always respected Daiyu the most. Since Jia Zheng visited his hometown in the spring, he has become even more cautious in the officialdom. The emperor saw his upright character, reliable work ethic, and noble family background, so he appointed him as an imperial messenger. Before long, Jia Zheng left the capital to handle his duties. With Jia Zheng gone, Baoyu's days became even more carefree. In the blink of an eye, autumn arrived, and on this day Baoyu was feeling bored. He received a letter sent by Tan Shun through her maid. After reading the letter, Baoyu excitedly went to Tan Chuan's residence, Autumn Refreshing Studio. As soon as he entered, Baochai, Daiyu, Yingchun, and Shichuan were all there. When they saw Baoyu, they all smiled and said, "Another one has come again." Tan Chun said, "I had a sudden idea and wrote a few notes to try it out. It seems that you really hit the nail on the head." Baoyu smiled and said, "Sister's idea is good. We should have established a poetry society long ago." Daiyu replied, "It's not too late to start a poetry society at this time. Just, you guys start your own. Don't count me in, I dare not participate." Yingchun interjected on the side, "If you don't dare, who else will dare?" Baoyu also said, "This is a serious matter. Everyone must put in effort and not be modest. If you have any ideas, speak up, let's all discuss together. Sister Baochai and Sitter Lin must also speak." Baochai said, "Why are you in such a rush? Not everyone has arrived yet." Just as they were talking, Li Wan walked in and said, "This is such a refined matter. Let me recommend myself to be the head of the poetry club. I had this idea a few years ago, but unfortunately I can't write poetry myself. Wouldn't that be making a fool of myself? Now that the third sister brought this up, I must come and help out." Baoyu said, "Since we have decided to establish a poetry club, then we are all poets. I suggest changing the title of sisters and brothers-in-law so that it's less conventional. Li Wan nodded. That's right. Why don't we give each other nicknames so we can address each other more elegantly? I'll call you Old Farmer of Rice Fragrance. Tan Chun went on to say, then I shall be called Autumn Clear Hermit. Bao Yu laughed. What layman or master? These are all vulgar. It would be much better to name your Autumn Refreshing Pavilion after the parasol tree and plantain that are in it. Tan Chun thought about it and thought again. I know I love bananas the most, so let's just call it Banana Guest. Everyone thought the name was unique and interesting, but Dayu laughed and said, quick, stew her into jerky to eat with wine. The ancients once said, banana leaves and deer. She calls herself Banana Guest. Isn't that a deer? It would be perfect for making deer jerky. Everyone burst into laughter, and Tan Chun also laughed and said, you're using clever words to insult people again. Don't worry, I have come up with the most appropriate nickname for you. In the past, the beautiful hair of the goddesses Ahuang and Nuiying shed tears on bamboo, causing the bamboo to become speckled, so speckled bamboo is also called Xiangfei bamboo. Now that you live in the Xiaoxiang Hall and always love to cry in the future, those bamboo trees will also become speckled bamboo. Therefore, you shall be called Xiaoxiang Concubine. Everyone applauded and praised, but Dayu just lowered her head and did not retort. Li Wan said, I have also come up with a good name for Shue's younger sister called Lord of Hengwu. What do you think? The crowd cheered again. At this point, Bao Yu became anxious. You all have someone, what about me? You should also think of someone for me. Bao Chai laughed and said, haven't you had your nickname for a long time? The 3 words busy doing nothing suit you best. Li Wan said, I think it's better to use your old username, Jiangdong Flower Master. Bao Yu waved his hand. Let's not talk about what I did as a child. Bao Chai said again, I'll give you a nickname. This nickname may be common, but it is most fitting for you. There are 2 things in the world that are rare. First, wealth and honor. Second, leisure. But you have both, so let's call you Wealthy and Leisurely Person. Bao Yu laughed and said, you're too kind, you're too kind. Call me whatever you want. At this moment, Dayu spoke up saying, that won't do. You can't just give a random name. Since you're living in the Yihang courtyard, why not just be called Yihang Gentleman? Everyone nodded in agreement. Li Wan asked again, and how about the 2nd and 4th miss? Ing Chun said, none of us are good at writing poetry, so why bother trying to come up with a pen name? Tan Chun replied, although it is so, we should still make a start. Bao Chai said, if Ing Chun lives in the Ziling Pavilion, let's call it Lingzhou. If Shichuan lives in the Oxiang Pavilion, let's call it Oxiang. Li Wan said, that sounds good. Since I am older than you all, I will speak first. The 7 of us will establish a poetry society. Myself and the 2nd and 4th miss are not very good at poetry, so each of us will be in charge of a different task. My place is spacious and can be used as the society's headquarters, so I will also be the president. In addition, we need 2 vice presidents, which will be taken on by Linzhou and Oxiang. They will be responsible for setting themes and recording the proceedings. What do you all think? Tan Chun was the first to respond, saying, I agree. It's quite interesting considering that it was my idea in the first place, but now it seems like the 3 of you are the ones managing me. Bao Yu smiled and said, let's go to the headmaster's Daoxiang village now. Li Wan hurriedly said, you're the one in a rush. Today was just a discussion. I'll invite you all again in a few days. Later, after discussing among themselves, they decided to hold the poetry club on the 2nd and 16th of every month, with the club president selecting the topic and rhyme scheme. As for other times, as long as someone is willing, they can choose the date to host the club and activities. As for the name of the poetry club, Tan Chun proposed Heilongjiang Poetry Club, and everyone agreed without objection, so it was decided. The discussion ended. Bao Yu returned to the Yi Hong courtyard and listened to Shiren telling him how she sent Roan wet nurse to bring gifts to Shi Shongyun. Bao Yu suddenly remembered and clapped his hands, saying, "Oh, I felt like there was something on my mind that I couldn't remember. Thank you for reminding me." Without Shongyun, the Poetry Society would be boring. With that, he turned and went to see Granny Jia, begging her to send someone to invite Shongyun over. The next day, when Xiangyun arrived, Bao Yu quickly told her about the establishment of the Poetry Society. Xiangyun was very happy. "I also want to join the society. Even if I have to sweep the floor and burn incense, I am willing to do so." Upon hearing this, everyone laughed and liked her lively and interesting personality very much.